PTF back with you with another one of the more popular guests we ever have on these In the Money airwaves. He's also another Hall of Famer, an NHC Hall of Famer. I'm wearing my blue and orange, maybe tipping the horse we're going to talk about today with Duke Matties. Duke, how are things?
Pete, everything's good. It's great to be a Hall of Famer.
Well-deserved
I'm not a Hall of
honor.
Shamer.
We'll maybe we'll pause on that. Another show, we need to go deeper into that whole experience. But for professional horse players such as yourself to be honored by your peers must have been a great honor in all seriousness.
It really was. And to keep it quick, I met a lot of people that I did not know I had fans out there. So it was really something that, I enjoyed it, and I didn't do well this year, but it didn't really matter because the award kind of made up for it. It was a lot of fun.
Let's talk about this year's Kentucky Derby. All eyes on it. We record this a couple of weeks out. I'm rocking my blue and orange, the New York Mets colors, the Mike Repole colors. Repole's had sort of a checkered history in this race with a couple of horses that were going to be favored who didn't actually make it to the gate. Hopefully this one makes it to the gate. Do you think he is going to be the winner of this year's Kentucky Derby?
Fierceness is an interesting horse. He is the fastest horse in the race. There's no question about it. There's not a doubt that he's the fastest horse in the race. But he has issues. He has issues when things don't go his way. And that's going to be the key. The key is going to be the draw. The key is going to be if he breaks sharply, I assume they'll send him. If he doesn't make the lead, I don't like his chances. It's like, or if at least he's not stalking. He has to be in the first flight of horses, or otherwise I don't see him winning. Because the two times that he's been in that position, he's basically he hasn't beat a horse, has he? He's beat a few, but he hasn't beat anybody that's anything special. Now, who knows? It might rain, might be muddy too. Pletcher's won his two Derby winners. Pletcher has had, believe it or not, both came on muddy tracks. Super Saver and Always Dreaming. Fierceness didn't fare too well in the mud the day, was it the Champagne? Is that the day that he acted up a little bit in the gate and he didn't like any mud in his face? So there's a lot of ifs. There's a lot of good things about him. And there's a lot of bad things about him, especially in a 20 horse field. He runs speed figures that are dominant. They're so dominant. They're more dominant than any horse that we've had going into a Derby in a while. We don't have horses that run 110 speed figures that have come into the Derby like this. Not in a long time. You see horses like Justify and American Pharoah. They didn't run 110s coming into the Derby. Smarty Jones, I think, did. But this will be interesting for Todd because I don't know when. Do you remember the last time he was favored in a Derby?
That's a great question, and I don't. He had a couple that were gonna be in the form of Forte and Uncle Mo, but they didn't quite get there.
I'm not sure he's ever had the favorite that actually raced.
I can't wait to see how this plays out. I contend that if this were just a race on a Thursday at Aqueduct with the speed figure gap between Fierceness and the rest of his rivals, that he'd be something on the order of an even money shot. I think with all the attendant hype around this race, the seriousness of some of the other contenders, especially Sierra Leone, there's a world in which he's not even favorite. He's not even the favorite internationally right now. Is there a chance we can actually get value on this horse?
That would be surprising that he wouldn't go off favored, but man, I didn't know that. That's news to me that he's not favored in the market, huh?
7-2. The Sierra Leone 7-2 best price, Fierceness 4-1 best price.
Wow, I think if he draws well, and obviously he worked so far. He worked one time since his last race, and he worked really well. He was just basically was a 6 furlong just jog around the track, and he buried the work made with ease. But that's what he's good at. He's fast. He's fast by himself. Let's say he draws one. What do we do if he draws one? He's not going to be favored if he draws the one hole, because everybody's going to say he's got to be sent so hard that, from a one hole. It's just going to be interesting. He's one of those horses that I think if you do get 7-2 and he draws like a 7 or an 8, He's probably worth 7-2 all day. I mean, that's what I think Smarty Jones went off when he won. I think he was 7-2, which was like a gift for the speed
Yeah.
figures he was running. And if you compare those two horses, they're kind of similar, except for Smarty Jones. I don't think had any really bad races like Fierceness does.
The good races were similar, and Smarty didn't have the bad ones, and
Right.
still he was a
So,
bettable favorite.
yeah. So it's tough. I think he's gonna win if he breaks good and everything goes well. If he doesn't freak out in the gate or he doesn't do anything crazy, I think he will win.
What's
Um,
the ideal draw for Fierceness? Do you want to see him in the middle there, or is it a case of the wider the better in your thoughts?
well, it could be but the problem with me going wide is if they don't break super sharp, you could get hung. You don't want to be hung 5-6 wide in the first turn at Churchill. That's one thing you don't want to do. You want to be 3 wide, stalking. That's a perfect position. So I always think 7-10 would
Mm-hmm.
be the right numbers for him. But I'm not sure. As long as he doesn't go inside 7, I think, and outside of 14, I think that'll be so anywhere between 7 and 13, 8 and 12. I think would be perfect for him. I don't. Are they doing that based on? Is it just random?
I think it's random draw
Random.
again. Remember,
Yeah.
they had a different system for a while, but I think it's just going to be who pulls the pill.
Well, it'll be interesting for him. I don't think it matters so much with a horse like Sierra Leone, who comes from behind. I don't think that's going to matter. That's probably his main rival, but he doesn't get anywhere near Fierceness's speed figures when Fierceness is at his best.
These mini pods are brought to you by Free Reign Coffee Company. They've been powering the In the Money team throughout the Triple Crown prep season, and the coffee is fantastic. Whether you're looking for whole beans, grounds, or pods, Free Reign give you what you need to get up and get after it. And they've got subscriptions available too, so you never run out. Use our promo code MONEY20 for a 20% discount site-wide over at freereigncoffee.com. $4 million. That's how much original ITM Plus subscribers and contributors have won at the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge over the last 5 years. ITM Plus is the place for our best Kentucky Derby information, including grid picks from the team, trip notes, and specific betting advice. Sign up today at inthemoneypodcast.com/plus. Couple more points I wanted to bring up. One, you mentioned to me off air that you think Fierceness might have a tell for when his mind isn't on the game, when things are going to go wrong. Something you noticed in those couple of poor starts.
Yeah, this morning I went and watched the 2 races that he ran poorly, and both times, right about 5 seconds before the start, he was fidgety in the gate. He kind of went forward, came back both times, and both times he broke about a half length slow. So it could be something you could see if he's fidgeting around in the gate or something, or if he's not acting, And the other times he didn't do that, and he broke like a shot. So I mean, especially last time in Florida Derby. So there's little things you can pick up on, but betting wise ahead of time, you don't know what you don't know what he's going to do. Like you said, you gotta get the Betfair bet 3 seconds.
In running.
Then you take whatever they give you if he's in front.
I
But it's
wanted
an
to,
interesting derby.
for sure.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you, Duke, about the betting strategy for this race. You also, I thought, had a really good thought about that with a horse like Fierceness, who's potentially just going to be the fastest and roll, but then, has these question marks that could lead to a totally subpar effort. How are you thinking of approaching him from a wagering standpoint this far out?
Well, he's a must use in all horizontal bets. Obviously, I mean, he's got to be used in picks. So I mean, he could be a single possibly. If you think 7-2, I mean 7-2, I think is fair. I think it's all of it's fair if you can get that in the pick bets. Now, as a race itself, I think he's a horse you want to use on top. I don't think he's a horse you want to key first, second, and third. No, I'm just going to key him on top, and if he wins, that's the only spot I got him in. I think that's a way people can actually make good amount of money because the tries and supers in the Derby, they always pay. I mean, there's no lack of price in the Derby, even with favorites winning. So I would tell people to just put them on top and find your horses underneath, and then toss them. Then play some box things, box some horses and exactas without him. And I think those are two good ways to go about using fierceness.
Great stuff, Duke. Really appreciate your time today and your insights, and we'll have you back on very soon.
Sounds good, Pete. Always enjoy.